Silence is often misunderstood. It's seen as passive, as weak, as something people resort to when they don't have the words to respond. But what if silence isn't a retreat, but a deliberate and calculated act of strength? What if silence, rather than being the absence of power, is the embodiment of it? When we think about conflict, we usually think about action, what we say, how we say it, the gestures, the tone, the volume. These are the things people notice, the things they react to, but silence has a weight of its own. It demands attention, not because it is loud, but because it is deliberate. It forces people to sit with their thoughts, their actions, and often their discomfort. Think about it when someone expects a reaction and gets none, the dynamic shifts. They are left holding their words, their actions, their energy. Silence doesn't give them the satisfaction of engagement. It doesn't provide fuel for the fire. Instead, it reflects back their behavior, leaving them to grapple with it alone. Silence is powerful because it creates space for you to breathe, to think, to process. It allows you to step back and see the bigger picture, to evaluate the situation without the haze of anger or hurt clouding your judgment. In that space, you reclaim control. You decide how much energy you're willing to spend and where you want to direct it. It's also important to understand that silence is not the same as submission. Choosing silence doesn't mean you're letting someone win. On the contrary, it means you're taking the higher ground. It means you're refusing to lower yourself to the level of petty arguments, to the cycle of reaction and retaliation. There's an incredible strength in knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet. Silence can be more cutting than any insult, more impactful than any argument. It carries a message that words often can't convey. I am at peace with myself, and I will not let you disrupt that. When you choose silence, you're choosing yourself. You're protecting your energy, your mental health, and your emotional stability. You're saying, I don't need to fight to prove my worth. My value is not up for debate. Silence also has the power to disarm. It interrupts the flow of conflict, disrupts patterns, and forces reflection. It's a reminder that not every action deserves a reaction, not every comment needs a response. In a world that constantly pushes us to be louder, to react faster, to have the last word, choosing silence is a radical act. It's a way of stepping out of the chaos and reclaiming your calm. This is the power of silence. It protects, it empowers, and it liberates. And when wielded with intention, it can change the dynamics of any situation, transforming conflict into an opportunity for growth. Self-respect is the foundation upon which all healthy relationships and interactions are built. It's the quiet, unshakable belief in your own value, and it manifests in how you treat yourself and allow others to treat you. Choosing self-respect over reaction is not always easy, but it is always necessary. When someone disrespects or challenges us, the natural instinct is often to defend ourselves, to argue, to retaliate. This reaction comes from a place of hurt, of wanting to be understood or validated. But the need to react can often pull us into a cycle of emotional exhaustion, one where we lose sight of what truly matters, our own peace and dignity. Responding to every slight or insult gives others control over our emotions. It allows their words or actions to dictate how we feel, how we behave, and how we see ourselves. But self-respect means stepping back and recognizing that not every provocation deserves your energy. It means understanding that your worth isn't contingent on someone else's opinion or approval. Choosing self-respect over reaction is a radical act of self-care. It's saying, I refuse to lower myself to meet you in a place of negativity or hostility. This doesn't mean you ignore every conflict or avoid every difficult conversation. It means you approach those situations from a place of strength and intentionality, not from a place of defensiveness or anger. Think about the energy it takes to argue, to defend, to react. That energy is finite. Every time you give it away to someone who doesn't value it, you deplete your own reserves. Self-respect is about preserving that energy for the things and people that truly matter: your growth, your goals, your joy. Reaction often comes from a need to prove something, to show we're strong, to demonstrate we're right, to make someone else see our perspective. But self-respect doesn't require proof. It's an internal knowing, a quiet confidence that says, I don't need to convince you of my value because I know it inherently. When you choose self-respect, you're also setting boundaries. You're saying, this is where your influence over me ends. You don't get to dictate how I feel, how I react, or how I carry myself. Boundaries are not walls, they're guidelines that protect your emotional well-being. They allow you to engage with the world on your terms, not someone else's. Choosing not to react isn't about letting someone win. It's about prioritizing your peace over the temporary satisfaction of retaliation. It's recognizing that your silence, your refusal to engage in negativity, speaks louder than any argument ever could. It's a statement of self-worth that says, I don't need to fight for respect. I command it by how I carry myself. Reaction is often impulsive, driven by immediate emotion. But self-respect requires intentionality. It's pausing to ask yourself, does this serve me? Does this align with who I am and who I want to be? It's the ability to walk away, not because you're afraid or defeated, but because you know your energy is better spent elsewhere. There's a profound strength in restraint, in choosing not to let someone else's actions dictate your own. Self-respect is about knowing that your peace, your dignity, and your integrity are worth more than the fleeting satisfaction of a heated comeback. It's about holding yourself to a standard that reflects your values, even when it's tempting to stoop to the level of someone who has wronged you. Choosing self-respect over reaction is a practice, and like any practice, it takes time and effort to master. It's about unlearning the habit of seeking validation through confrontation and learning to find it within yourself. It's about trusting that your worth isn't diminished by someone else's inability to see it. When you prioritize self-respect, you create a life that is rooted in authenticity and strength. You attract relationships and situations that align with your values, and you cultivate a sense of inner peace that no external conflict can shake. It's not about being passive, it's about being purposeful. It's about choosing yourself every single time. Boundaries are often misunderstood. They can seem like walls, rigid barriers meant to keep people out or to distance ourselves from the world. But in reality, boundaries are bridges. They are tools that help us navigate relationships with clarity and respect, fostering deeper connections rather than severing them. To set a boundary is to say, I value this relationship enough to make it sustainable, and I value myself enough to honor my own needs. It's an act of love, not just for yourself, but for others, because boundaries create the framework in which healthy, meaningful interactions can flourish. Without boundaries, relationships can become tangled, messy, and unsustainable. When we say yes to everything and everyone, we inadvertently say no to ourselves. Over time, this breeds resentment, frustration, and exhaustion. But when we set clear boundaries, we create a roadmap for how we wish to be treated, and we give others the opportunity to meet us in a space of mutual respect. Boundaries are not about control. They're not about forcing others to behave in a certain way or punishing them when they don't. Instead, they're about defining your own limits and honoring your own capacity. They're about saying, this is what I can offer, and this is what I need in return. It's not about exclusion, it's about alignment. Think of a boundary as a bridge connecting two people. On one side, you stand holding your needs, values, and experiences. On the other side is the other person holding theirs. The boundary is the structure that allows you to meet in the middle without losing yourself in the process. It's what keeps the connection stable, balanced, and safe. When we approach boundaries with this perspective, we begin to see them not as barriers, but as opportunities. Setting a boundary invites honesty into a relationship. It says, this is who I am, and this is what I need to thrive. It encourages open communication and gives others the chance to respond authentically. Boundaries are also acts of self-awareness. They require you to know yourself, to understand your limits, your triggers, and your capacity. This self-awareness is a gift, not only to yourself, but to those around you, because it eliminates confusion and guesswork. It allows others to engage with you in a way that is meaningful and supportive. Reclaiming your energy starts with awareness. It requires you to pause and ask yourself, where is my energy going? What drains me and what replenishes me? This is not always an easy question to answer. Sometimes we're so accustomed to feeling depleted that we don't even recognize the source of our exhaustion. But once you begin to tune in, the patterns become clearer. One of the biggest drains on our energy is overengagement, feeling like we have to respond to everything, fix everything, or be everything to everyone. We react to every comment, every slight, every expectation placed on us. But the truth is, not everything deserves your energy. Not every argument needs to be won. Not every person needs to be pleased. And not every situation requires your involvement. Reclaiming your energy means learning to say no, not just to others, but to yourself. It's about resisting the urge to engage in things that don't align with your priorities. This doesn't mean you're giving up or turning your back on challenges. It means you're being intentional about where you invest your effort. It's also about recognizing the subtle ways your energy gets depleted. It's not always the big conflicts or obvious demands that drain us sometimes. It's the little things, the constant multitasking, the endless scrolling on social media, the negative self-talk we engage in when no one else is around. These small leaks can add up, leaving us feeling depleted without even knowing why. Reclaiming your energy means plugging those leaks. It's about setting boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. It's about creating space in your life for rest, reflection, and the things that truly bring you joy. Energy is deeply tied to focus. When we scatter our attention, we dilute our power. But when we reclaim our energy, we regain our ability to focus on what truly matters. We become more present, more effective, and more aligned with our purpose. Part of this process involves letting go of grudges, letting go of the need to be right, letting go of relationships or commitments that no longer serve you. Holding on to these things can feel like control, but in reality, they control you. They anchor you to the past and keep you from moving forward. Reclaiming your energy is also about nurturing yourself. It's about finding practices that replenish your reserves, whether that's spending time in nature, meditating, exercising, or simply sitting in silence. It's about feeding your soul with experiences that inspire you and surrounding yourself with people who uplift you. When you reclaim your energy, you reclaim your power. You stop allowing external circumstances to dictate your mood, your focus, or your worth. You become the architect of your own life, channeling your energy into the things that matter most to you. This is not a one-time act, but an ongoing practice. Energy is fluid, and life is full of demands that will challenge your resolve. But each time you choose to protect your energy, you strengthen your ability to live with intention and authenticity. You remind yourself and the world that your energy is yours, and you get to decide how it's spent. Disconnection is often framed as loss, as something to fear or avoid. We cling to relationships, roles, and routines, believing that letting go will leave us hollow, incomplete, or lonely. But what if disconnection is not the end, but the beginning? What if, in stepping away, we create the space needed for growth, clarity, and renewal? Growth and disconnection is a process of transformation. It begins with the recognition that not everything and everyone is meant to stay in our lives forever. People change, circumstances shift. And as we evolve, so too must the relationships and commitments we hold. To cling to what no longer serves us is to deny ourselves the opportunity to grow into the next version of who we are meant to be. Disconnection is not always dramatic or abrupt. Sometimes it's a quiet realization, a gradual understanding that something no longer aligns with your values, your needs, or your vision for the future. It might be a friendship that feels one-sided, a job that drains your creativity, or a habit that no longer supports your well-being. Recognizing this isn't a failure, it's a sign of self-awareness and maturity. Growth through disconnection requires courage. It's not easy to let go, especially when we've invested time, energy, or emotion into something. The comfort of familiarity can be powerful, even when it's no longer healthy. But holding on to what no longer fits only delays the inevitable. Growth demands that we release the old to make room for the new. Disconnection is also a mirror. It reflects back to us the parts of ourselves we might not have noticed or acknowledged. When we step away from a toxic relationship, for instance, we might see how much we've been compromising our boundaries or silencing our voice. When we leave a job that stifles us, we might rediscover passions and talents we have forgotten. Disconnection forces us to confront these truths and invites us to act on them. In the space that disconnection creates, we find clarity. Without the constant noise of unhealthy dynamics or unfulfilling routines, we can hear our own thoughts more clearly. We can reconnect with our values, our goals, and our sense of purpose. This clarity is the foundation for growth that allows us to move forward with intention rather than obligation. It's important to understand that disconnection is not about avoidance or escape. It's not about cutting ties out of anger, fear, or spite. True growth and disconnection comes from a place of self-compassion and respect for yourself and for others. It's about recognizing when something has run its course and honoring that ending as a natural part of life. Growth and disconnection also teaches us resilience. It reminds us that we are capable of navigating change even when it's uncomfortable. It shows us that we can let go of what no longer serves us and still be whole. In fact, we often become stronger, wiser, and more grounded as a result. There's a quiet beauty in disconnection. It's the shedding of old layers, the release of burdens we no longer need to carry. It's the act of stepping into the unknown with trust that what awaits on the other side is growth, renewal, and a deeper connection to ourselves. Disconnection doesn't mean isolation. It's not about shutting yourself off from the world. Rather, it's about realigning. It's about choosing relationships and environments that nourish you rather than deplete you. It's about creating a life that reflects your values rather than compromising them for the sake of convenience or approval. When we allow ourselves to grow through disconnection, we discover something profound, that we are not defined by the people or things we let go of. Our worth isn't tied to a relationship, a job, or a role. It exists independently, and disconnection can be the catalyst that helps us see it more clearly. Ultimately, growth and disconnection is about reclaiming agency. It's about taking ownership of your life and recognizing that you have the power to choose what stays and what goes. It's a reminder that every ending carries within it the seeds of a new beginning, and that in letting go, we often find ourselves. In a world that often rewards noise, spectacle, and drama, choosing integrity can feel like swimming upstream. Drama draws attention, it's loud, chaotic, and for many irresistible. But integrity is quiet. It doesn't clamor for recognition or thrive on conflict. Instead, it stands firm, rooted in principles, character, and truth. Choosing integrity over drama is not just a choice, it's a declaration of who you are and what you stand for. Drama feeds on reaction. It thrives in environments where emotions run unchecked and egos demand validation. It's the temptation to engage in gossip, to retaliate when provoked, or to escalate conflicts for the sake of being right. But drama is a trap. It drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and pulls you away from what truly matters. Integrity, on the other hand, is grounded. It requires self-awareness, discipline, and courage. It's the ability to stay true to your values even when it's easier or more tempting not to. Integrity doesn't seek to win arguments, it seeks to maintain alignment with truth and respect. Choosing integrity means stepping back from the chaos. It's recognizing that not every battle is worth fighting, not every slight deserves a response, and not every situation benefits from your involvement. This doesn't mean you're passive or indifferent. On the contrary, it means you're intentional, reserving your energy for what truly matters. Integrity requires clarity about your values. It asks you to know what you stand for and what you refuse to compromise on. Drama often pulls us into a cycle of reactivity where our actions are dictated by the emotions of the moment. But integrity is proactive. It's about acting from a place of purpose and alignment rather than being swept away by the tide of external circumstances. Drama can be seductive. It offers a fleeting sense of importance, a temporary adrenaline rush, or the illusion of control. But the cost is high. It erodes trust, damages relationships, and leaves a trail of emotional wreckage. Integrity, on the other hand, builds, it creates trust, fosters respect, and cultivates a sense of inner peace that no amount of external validation can replace. Choosing integrity over drama often means making the harder choice. It means walking away when every fiber of your being wants to fight back. It means staying silent when words would only add fuel to the fire. It means taking the time to reflect before reacting, ensuring that your actions are guided by principle rather than impulse. Integrity doesn't mean avoiding conflict. It's not about being a doormat or letting others walk all over you. In fact, integrity often requires confronting difficult situations head on, but it does so with purpose, seeking resolution rather than escalation. It's the difference between arguing to be heard and communicating to understand. Drama is reactive, integrity is reflective. Drama seeks to dominate, integrity seeks to understand. Drama is about proving a point, integrity is about living your values. When you choose integrity, you're not just avoiding conflict, you're elevating the conversation. You're showing others and yourself that there's a better way to navigate challenges. Integrity also requires humility. It asks you to admit when you're wrong, to take responsibility for your actions, and to prioritize the relationship over the need to win. Drama, on the other hand, thrives on ego, on the refusal to back down, even when it's clear that doing so would serve everyone involved. Choosing integrity over drama is an act of self-respect. It's about valuing your peace, your energy, and your character over the fleeting satisfaction of drama. It's about recognizing that your actions define you, and that staying true to your values is more important than winning an argument or proving a point. In choosing integrity, you also model a different way of being. You show others that it's possible to navigate challenges without resorting to pettiness or conflict. You set a standard for how you expect to be treated and how you will treat others in return. This doesn't mean everyone will follow your lead, but it does mean that you create an environment where respect and understanding can thrive. Ultimately, integrity is about alignment between your words and actions, between your values and choices, between who you are and who you strive to be. It's a quiet strength, a steady presence, and a commitment to living with purpose and authenticity. And in a world so often consumed by drama, choosing integrity is not just a personal victory, it's a powerful statement about the kind of life you want to lead. Why be? In a world that often glorifies noise and chaos, the choice to step back, reflect, and live intentionally is an act of quiet rebellion. Whether it's through the power of silence, reclaiming your energy, growing through disconnection, or choosing integrity over drama, these decisions reflect a deep commitment to yourself. They are declarations that your peace, your authenticity, and your growth matter more than fleeting validations or external approval. This journey is not always easy. Walking away from drama, setting boundaries, or letting go of what no longer serves you can feel lonely, uncomfortable, and even misunderstood. But in these moments of discomfort lies transformation. Each decision to prioritize your well-being strengthens your sense of self, deepens your connections with others, and aligns you with the life you truly deserve. At the heart of all this is a simple truth you cannot pour from an empty cup. By reclaiming your energy, honoring your boundaries, and choosing integrity, you fill that cup not with the noise of the world, but with the quiet power of self-respect and purpose. So when faced with the temptation of reaction or the pull of chaos, remember this: you hold the power to choose. You can choose silence over noise, integrity over drama, and growth over stagnation. And in doing so, you honor not only yourself, but the relationships and opportunities that truly align with your values. Your energy is sacred. Your peace is priceless. And every time you choose to protect them, you're not just surviving, you're thriving.